Hello, thank you for joining our workshop. We're going to paint some rocks today, and I have some metallic paints that I'm going to be using later. I'm just using a variety of my watercolors, no specific brand. I have a palette for mixing colors if I want to. I have some silver black velvet brushes, as well as some others, and a twig with a pointed end for making some textures. I have Canson paper. This is not the best paper, but it works fine for practice. And I have a towel and water for clean and dirty rinses. And I'm going to make a light color here. Then I normally would draw out a little bit of where I want to put the rocks, but I've done this a few times the past few days and I'm just going for it. But definitely draw it out if you want to. And we'll be talking about shadows today. So it's something that I want you to start thinking about when you're looking at a photo that you're going to try to paint. The shadows are what's going to make it come alive, give it shape. And I'm just making some textures, different colors. My rocks are going to be pretty colorful. I'm using quite a bit of water and just dropping the paint on the page and the water as well. Letting the water from the top rock bleed down, the water and the color bleed down to the second one, because I always like those bleeds. And I'm already starting to establish some darker tones underneath for shadows. My bottom rock I want to be darker. It's at the bottom of the stack. Oh, look at that beautiful bleed. So pretty. The magic of watercolor. You'll notice that when I'm getting my paint, I add water to my brush or rinse it, and then I grab my water and sometimes I dab it on my cloth. That's just so that I don't have as much water on there because I've already got a lot on the paper. And that light is coming from the right hand side, so I wanted to remove some of the paint so it has a different value on that side. And now I'm starting to add some darker color. This is going to be the shadow from the top rock, and adding some darker paint to that middle rock as well. I'm just wiggling my brush because I want to have different textures going on in my rocks, removing a little bit of paint there and then making more squiggly lines. You can do whatever you want on these. I just wanted to have lots of textures. That's lots of textures and lots of colors. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. But if you want to have your rocks all one color, do that. This is just play. There's a little bit more water up there than I needed, so I'm bringing that down and moving that around on the rock. making textures. All right, I'm going to use my paper towel and dab up a few places here. That is going to create some textures as well. Give me back a little bit of my light. I'm going to add some metallics now. I'm going to add that while there's a little bit of water still, while the paint is still wet. That way it spreads out some and plays with the other paints. There's really no rhyme or reason for what I'm doing here. I'm just having fun, going with the flow. I'm adding that touch of gold on that right side where the light's shining on it. And I'm grabbing a twig, and it's got a pointed tip. I sharpened it like a pencil sharpener, and I'm just dragging that around on the rocks, trying to make some different textures. A lot of rocks that you look at has lines and, you know, dips, and this is just how I'm portraying that in the painting. Sometimes I do this with a brush, but if you use a stick or the opposite end of the brush, it kind of makes a little indent in the paper, which is neat because then how the paint lays in it is pretty cool. It's just a different effect. Now I decided I wanted to go in with more color and then start establishing this shadow under that top rock. I think I better dry it first. So I did dry it until it's all the way dry, because now I'm starting off fresh again. Now I can make my second layer. Just randomly making marks. Trying to get those shadows underneath. It is a lot easier to do this when you have a picture to look at, so you're not kind of making it up as you go. When I'm doing this today, I'm kind of thinking, okay, if the light's shining from over here, how would the shadow be? So definitely use a reference image, and it'll make it a lot easier. I'm going in with thicker paint now, and I'm kind of smoothing it out in a few places. Just take your time. Now on that pass, I had dried off my brush and it didn't have any paint on it, and I was just softening the line, which is what I'm doing here too, just kind of blending, adding more little dots, texture, texture, texture. For some reason, I really love this coppery color with that teal. And then I'm going to go in with a wet brush and kind of blend it out. And I'm grabbing a brush, and I rinsed it and dried it, and now I'm just creating more lines, just making more textures there, just running that brush across there. All right, time for some more darks underneath. Gotta get my values going here. Lights and shadows. And I'm kind of blurring those edges a little bit. Now I've decided I'm going to put something down for the rocks to be setting on. And you could just leave it white, or you could add grass or whatever, water, whatever. So I'm putting my shadow in. And I don't get too fussy about this. This isn't the main part of the show here, but I do want them sitting on something. So this is what I'm doing. Putting that darkest color up against that rock so it looks like a shadow. Drying that off, so I'm starting fresh again. Now I'm on my third layer. Still adding the shadow for that ground or the underneath rock, whatever it is. I think it's ground. Now I'm mixing up a little bit darker color to add over this part, because it would kind of be shaded as well, just not as harsh as the top part. There we go. It's giving it a little bit more depth, making those shapes look real. And I tried it again, and I'm going to add a little bit more metallic in a couple areas. I'm actually splattering, and then I kind of go a little crazy here with some gold splatter. And so I lift up a little bit of that. And I'm like, oh, it's not lifting up as well as I'd like. Let me spray it with some water to loosen it up. Okay, that'll work. There we go. Much better. Now I'm just adding some grass. Now when you think about the grass on the left-hand side is going to be a darker grass than the grass on the right-hand side. So I'm putting in stronger values, darker paint on that left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, I'm going with a more warm color. Try not to give it too much detail because I have done this a few times the past few days where I've put way too much detail in. And I needed to make this video shorter so you didn't get too bored and so that I could put it up on YouTube for you. This is just really loose. There we are. I hope you like it, and I hope you try it. Enjoy. If you'd like to see the longer version, let me know. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.